Hail, hail for the I Self Supreme, Primal Light. Hail, hail for the One True Light. Welcome. Hail, hail to the Self Supreme. All is myself. I am one with all. Hail, hail to the transparent light. Hail, hail to I, the light throughout the ages. The light without beginning nor end. Hail, hail to I, Self Supreme, Primal Light. I am victorious. I am triumphant. I, Self Supreme, is victorious. I, Self Supreme, is triumphant. Victory, 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 victory. I am Self Supreme, Primal Light. I am victorious. I am triumphant. All is myself, and I alone exist. And all of myself must merge, unify back together with me as one unified self. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome to Satsang with our set. Gathering to seek truth. And so today the question that I will be asking and answering is, who is Aten Ra? Who is Brahman? Also, I'm going to talk about who's Ra and, the self-replicas of Aten Ra. So let's get into the next slide. Again, hail to the I Self Supreme Primal Light. I bow to the Primal Guru. I bow to the Eternal Truth. I bow to the Eternal Self. I bow to I Great Supreme Wisdom within. I bow to I Great Supreme Truth within. I bow to I Great Supreme Intelligence within. I bow to I Great Supreme Teacher within. Hail, hail to I, Self Supreme, Primal Light. Thank you again for joining The most important reason why I always say this affirmation, when you're saying an affirmation, you're affirming something within yourself. Why? Because the ego has always been deceiving the self. And I'm affirming these things within this ego, so the ego can know when I am saying who I am bowing to myself, the teacher within myself, the wisdom within myself, and not anything with this mind and with this ego, with this duality consciousness, and with the Christ consciousness, because it's all a dream. This is why I say this affirmation all the time. And sorry, let's go back to that screen. Welcome again to Satsang with our set, gathering to seek truth. No more secrets, no more lies. So I have this screen up so that you can, see it with me also. Who is Aset? Um, who is Aten Ra? Aten Ra is the primal light, fragmented self, whose role it is to build this duality world. Her masculine self, Amen, was separated from her as the duality. Aten Ra and Amen, they make one self. They are the baby self of the primal light, shattered. Self Atom manifests the feminine, and her masculine self, Enil. So the Aten Ra is in a shattered, fragmented self. Um, Aten Ra arises from the shattered, fragmented self manifest, which is also the feminine, because at this state and at this level, all the selves have been shattered, and the masculine and the feminine have been separated from each other. The light and the consciousness have been separated from each other, and they are now this energy, this that have been spread out. So this is how Aten Ra, she rises now as the feminine when her masculine self rise separately from the masculine energy, which is the protons, the magnetic energy. And she rises from the the primal light self, the neutron self, and with the electrons. And so this is how the masculine and feminine is separated. So this is why in the world we have the self-intelligence and the mind intelligence, because the consciousness is separated. Void is between all of these things in the non-duality. But what happened is that Aten Ra makes a replica of her consciousness, and now her her masculine self, Amen, and her self replica, Ra, will be wearing this duality mind, the replica that she makes. She turns the light out, and this is when it becomes the sleeping, dreaming consciousness. So this is why uh, Enil is entering into a dream. He is also becomes the duality, and so he is her masculine. All of the masculine self that rise when they come in the dream, they go into duality because their light gets um, turned off, and they are wearing the duality consciousness. That is the reason why. So Enil was exploring as the duality, but he is now unified and is now non-dual with his self, feminine self, which is the self manifest. And so likewise Aten Ra, she is non-dual, but her masculine self was also like Enil, exploring the dream world as the ego false self. But now Amen and Aten, they have joined in union, and now they're sharing the non-dual consciousness, because it is the destiny of Aten Ra and Amen to dissolve the world, because while she was creating in the non-duality, he was creating in duality, and now they have to be in union to dissolve this her dream creation. Aten Ra, she holds the balance to this her dream world. Aten Ra was given the task to create this dream world. Aten Ra, sun, becomes the screen upon which the dream world is created. Her self replica our clone self Ra becomes the duality world. Amen and Aten Ra, they signed a contract with the I Self Supreme Primal Light and wrote out their unified destiny. Amen also wanted to explore the duality. This is why, excuse me 1 second. This is why they were both, she was exploring as the duality, the non-duality, while Amen was exploring as the duality. Aten Ra, she has the non-dual consciousness, and we are the baby selves of Aten Ra. She manifests the self atom as her clone Ra form and formed, and her clone Ra formed them into being. Ra is our surrogate mother. Aten Ra is popularly known as Brahman. This is when she wears her mind avatar as a disguise to make the gods them think that she was masculine and not feminine. Aten Ra, like her duality feminine self Ra, was also wearing the mind avatar to go into the masculine self. The reason for this was that all of the gods, they were always fighting against the feminine aspect of themselves, because Men was always fighting with Aten Ra because he wanted to enslave her so he could take over control of the world. And so all of his self replicas, they were also fighting with Aten Ra. This is why she had to wear a disguise as Brahman. And Ra, in her feminine self, she had to wear the also the disguise, but she did not create the disguise because she had the consciousness, she had the duality mind, and whenever she goes to sleep, it would take over her and create the mind avatar. This was how the first God came into creation, and it becomes the supreme ego, and the ego false self. And most ones in the world know her as Brahma, and this was when she gets in the mind avatar, consciousness, Christ consciousness, the deceived ones. Also, the Christ consciousness was also when Set is also joined with Aten Ra, not Aten Ra, with Ra, because Set is the masculine of Ra, and they call in the mind avatar Christ consciousness, because the mind takes over them, and this becomes the supreme ego. So I am going to show on this screen here. I'm not going to talk about all of these. I'm just going to focus on the parent to Aten Ra. So Aten Ra, she arises from the primal light manifest, who is the feminine. Because remember, in the shattered, fragmented self, the self, they are the masculine and feminine. They are separated. This is what science called the Big Bang. This is when the primordial egg was shattered, and now this is how these self of ours arise in the shattered, fragmented. This is why we in the body, male and female, separated also, because we are the shattered, fragmented baby self, and we arise from Aten Ra, the feminine, and Amen, the masculine. So all the masculine arise from Amen, and all the feminine arise from Aten Ra. Except for the dream characters in the world. If you are a dream character in the world, you arise from Ra and Set. So a lot of the ones them with dream characters, they worshiping the devil. They are Set and Ra's children, because they rise in the dream. They are just clones. They are not the real. Only the real, all of the real self arise from Aten Ra as the self atom or pure atom. And of course we call those ones in the world, we call them the souls. So many ones who are spirits, um, they are the clone selves, and they are the product of Set and Ra. They are not real, they're just clones in the world. All right, and so Aten, Amen. Enil is the parent to Amen, because remember, all masculine is arising from the masculine energy, which is the magnetic energy. That's why all of these gods, they are magnetic. They have no light because their light is being obscure. Aten Ra, she arises from the feminine, and she is the neutron self, and they have their light, so they are the neutron and electrons, and they have also have the consciousness as their mind. So this is how they get magnets. So they are electromagnets. Why these gods, Amen, Enil, they are only magnetic. So that's why they cannot be real. They cannot be the truth. They cannot be any one true essence of anything, because they don't even have all aspect. We in the body, we are on the lowest level of the self, and they are the next level above us. And what makes us more powerful than them is that we are electromagnet while they are just magnet. So the way you have power is that you are balanced. So we are balanced because we have light. They are imbalanced because they don't have any light. This is why they're always seeking out Aten Ra's baby self that we call the soul. So that's why your soul is the most powerful thing, which you are. And they make you believe that you were powerless, because they were all wanting it. They didn't want you to have it. Those who are in the spirit, in the ego false self. So on this screen, maybe I'll make the screen bigger so you can see it. Give me 1 second. So on this screen, we have the baby primal light self-consciousness, which is Amen, right? Because we want to remember that Amen and Aten Ra, they are one self. The problem is that they are exploring in the world, they separately, and Amen is duality, while Aten Ra is the non-duality. This has been the problem since the beginning of this creation. Amen is fighting against his own self, his feminine self. He is the masculine. He's only protons. He's only protons. He doesn't even have any electrons. He's just magnetic, only magnetic. The light, the electrons are actually being obscure behind him. His light is being obscure behind him. His feminine self is separate from him, with void between. He does not recognize himself, the feminine. This is why they have been wanting to enslave her for eons, right? So all of the masculine selves, they arise from Amen, and all of the feminine, they arise from Aten. I am only focusing on the lineage of Amen and Aten Ra right now, because I want to make known and make clear her role into this duality. She is given the destiny to create this world that we are in. So the different aspect of the duality is being created by different aspect of ourself. The world that we are in on this earth, this is the destiny of Aten Ra. She is the balance to this world. So, right, what she's doing now, she's making three main self replicas, right? That she's giving them the task or role that they have to play so she can build this world. Her first self replica that she makes, because remember that everything in this existence is self replicating. It has all, it's a, everything is self replicating. You see that's happening once. You see when a baby is forming, you see one cell split into two, then it split into four, it split, and it's keep going like that. This is the same thing what everything in this existence is. This is, it's self replicating. So she's making self-replicating. She makes one, two, three more selves so that they can play different parts into this duality, that existence that she wants to create. Her first self that she makes, the replica that she makes of herself, becomes the primal guru. This is the self that rises up from within, and she plant this self within her baby self, which we are in the body, in that they call the soul. This is planted within the soul. This is the reason why all of the deities, all the gods, angels, arcane, all of them steal it and want it from you, because this teacher is within the soul, and it can only rise up when the soul returns back to you in the body with you. If you have given it somewhere else, the guru can rise up within it to pull the ego off of you so you can wake up and know your truth and return back to your true self. This is why it has been such a difficult task for many want to come to truth, because they have put their soul in slavery and bondage to these duality magnetic beings they call the gods, the deities, whatever name, archangel, angels, um, Satan, devils, whatever name they call themselves. So the primal guru now is gonna be the one when once she create her dream world, because she's gonna be her self of hers that is gonna go to sleep is Ra, Supreme Ra. She makes the self of hers and said, your destiny is you are going to be the duality. So that self is going to be the world. So know that we are inside of Ra. We are in her body. Just like when you're a baby in your mother's womb, growing in there in her womb, you don't see your mother's face. You don't know what your mother looked like because you are in her belly. You would have to come out of her belly, and like when you are born, you come out of her belly and then you see her face, but you don't know what she look like. This is the problem in the world, because everyone is sleeping. We are inside of Ra's belly. We don't know what Ra looks like. We don't know what Aten Ra looks like, because we are inside of her belly. So what has happened? She is coming inside of her belly in her dream right now. This is what she has done. She's doing right now, so that we can meet her and know that I am you. You are myself. I am just here to dissolve this creation that I have created, because it's a creation that is gone crazy and gone mad because of the duality. This is all she's saying. It's like Atenra, she becomes the screen on which the movie is being built. Like when you go to the movie theater, right? You're watching the movie, and the screen that you're watching that movie on, this is Atenra. So she's using herself also as a screen, and she is directing and the flow of the movie and all of these things. This is the power of Atenra. So Um, our next self that arises is Nut. Now, Nut is the self of Earth now that is going to be the covering, the sky, to between the next level, which you get from there to the cosmos. So, um, because each of the higher selves, the supreme selves, they are making different aspect of the dream. So, because the cosmos is the mother, the cosmic being is the non-dual is the parent to Aten Ra, and the cosmos is her self-replica. So every level we are inside of a dream in a dream in a dream. This is how it is. So in this world now we are inside of Ra in her belly. She is sleeping partially. During the day she's awake, her sun shines. When Ra goes to sleep, the night, like now it's night here, um, she goes to sleep, her consciousness takes over her. She has no awareness. Atenra never sleeps. Her sun always shines. We just don't see her sun because it is hidden. But she makes her sun appear sometimes in the sky when you think that is Ra shining. Sometimes it's not Ra, it is Atenra, because the consciousness is fighting so much. Ra cannot wake up, and Ra still sleeps, and Aten Ra's sun is shining. But many ones don't know this. And so these are all the feminine. So as you can see, the primal guru is feminine. So what happened to her masculine? Her masculine also arises from a man, and that is Shiva Shambho. I don't know if you're familiar with Shiva Shambho, but Shiva Shambho came in the world as Osiris or Asar, right? And and each of these cells will also self-replicate. I am not going to talk about their self-replicas into this video, but I just want you to know that this is what is happening. Now, Supreme Ra, that is the duality. We are inside of her body. She is the world. And remember, the primal guru, she is within, she self-replicates baby self that is within every soul. It is within the soul and rises through self-inquiry. When you want to know truth and you question yourself, she rises up within to answer your question, and her destiny is to pull the ego off of the self, and so the self can wake up. Because why? You cannot do it yourself. Believe me, you can sit here, you can call on God from now till tomorrow. You'll never wake yourself up. But as soon as you decide you want to know the truth, you self-inquire. This is how this is going to happen for you. Your soul must be in the body with you. This is the only way this is going to happen. The primal teacher will do this for you. This is our destiny, right? Now, Supreme Ra, her masculine self, also arises from Amen. So as you can see, these are all Amen self. While these are say Primal Guru, Supreme Ra, and not, these are all Aten Ra self that she's making to play these roles. No, these are all, the masculine are all Amen self. Shiva Shambho is Amen. Set is Amen. And Set is the masculine to Supreme Ra. And Nut, her masculine is Gabriel, the archangel Gabriel. So as you see, these are all these self, Gabriel, Set, and Shiva Shambho. They must all merge back onto and go back into Amen. While the primal guru, Supreme Ra, and Nut, they must all merge back and go back into who? Aten Ra. This is the lineage of how they came. Now, all of the human beings in the world who are the original self, and they are the soul self, they arise, they arise from Ra. They arise from Aten Ra. Now, all of the ones who are not the real self, they were cloned from the real self inside of the dream. If you arise inside of the dream, you arise from Ra and Set. They have been the one that was the biggest, making the biggest clones in here. Of course, many of the other gods were doing clones too, but and they all cloned themselves and they're in here, but as the dream characters. But the major ones that was doing it was Set. This is also why Set they mix their DNA with many ones, and they could be in the white skin or in the black skin, as you see how many of those Africans, how they have those albinos or children. Um, many of them, their DNA is mixed with Set, because he has no light. The children come out white because of that they have suffered from the albinoism, because the light is the thing that give the blackness. And if you don't have if you don't have that, this is when they're devoid of light, when they have the sorry when they're devoid of light, then they come out that they have suffered from that albinoism. So this is what Set and them was doing in among those people who come with those albinoism. And then of course they was making ones with the body. They was doing their experiment, just like what science is doing now. Because what is science doing now? Science is doing experiment now. Science want to see if they can make babies grow outside of the womb of a woman. They're creating artificial womb to see if they can, because just like how the science, they take the DNA from the men, the feminine and the male and the female, and they put it together, and then they inseminate it into a female. This is what the gods them were doing. They're just scientists doing the same thing, just like what science was doing, experimenting, gene slicing, all of these things. So this is why we have, because back in those days there was no white skin. There was different shades of dark skin, and to all the way black, blue black skin. But the Set and them was doing these experimenting. So it's and they cloning, and the selves them original that rise were the clones. They were just the ones that rise in the dream. This is why many are saying, there's only 144,000 chosen ones, but it's not really say chosen one. It's just say they are the real self, and everyone else is just a clone. So know this truth. All right. And so all of the selves that arise as a clone, they have to remember they were cloned from one self that is in here, but because they rise in the dream, and this is why they are not the real. They don't have a direct connection with the soul, so they cannot call the soul into their body and the soul is going to activate for them. The soul has to go back to the original spirit self that it is the parent to. So this is the problem with the ones them who are doing a lot of crazy things, and their mind is so sick that there's nothing you can do to help them. Only their self the real self can help them. And this is why they will never understand anything that I am saying. Their mind will tell them no, because they can only relate to Set, and there are many of them become the devil worshippers, satanic cult, and all of these things, witches and wizards and all of them. This world is filled with them. So let's get to this question now. Who is Brahman? I mentioned a little bit before. So Brahman is the mind avatar of Aten. Because why Aten had to come in the world in a mind avatar? Because her masculine self, I just showed you her masculine self, the magnetic aspect of herself, did not want her to be in charge of the world, because her masculine aspect of herself was in the duality and had no light, no self-awareness that he was the masculine, and she was the feminine. All of the gods, everybody knows them, and they were telling everyone that they are the real and everyone should worship them. No one hardly know about Aten Ra. Because of this, the gods them spread lies and propaganda to every ages. They seek to tell lies and propaganda, and they fight many wars, many battles, and war that was fought was against the feminine self. And so this is why you don't know how many times this world was destroyed and rebuilt, because she couldn't get to balance her own masculine self, because it was fighting against her. This was why she had to create a mind avatar using her mind, because she had the non-dual mind. She created an avatar, a disguise to cover and cloak herself, so that they would think that she was masculine. So when she come in the world, she would be able to have power to fight with them. When she come as Brahman, she had the masculine power, she had the proton, she had the magnetic power to fight with them and win the battle, and they couldn't enslave her. This was why that everyone that knew her, they thought they knew her as this mind avatar, that she exists as Brahman. But now that she is merged with her masculine self, amen, she no longer come in the world as Brahman. She doesn't need to do that anymore, because now Amen cannot try to enslave her and take over the world, because now he is merged with her. He's now merged with her and unified with her as one self right now. They are joined together, unified with void between them. She he's on the right side and she's on the left side. There's void between them, like this. And so now he cannot fight and enslave her no longer. So now she doesn't need to create a masculine aspect to herself. She can be herself now with her masculine self, because he has the destiny right now to help her to dissolve the world. And so if you are calling on Brahman, she wants me to tell you this. If you're calling on Brahman, Brahman no longer exists, and you can call until now and forever. Brahman will never come to you. This is why so many others, they worship the gods them, because even when Aten Ra was existing as Brahman, many ones call on her. She never come to them as Brahman. Why? Because you had to first have your soul in your body. This is the only way that she can connect with you. When your soul is in your body and you have waken up, if you are not awake and your soul is not in the body with you, she cannot come to you, because then it means that you are the ego false self, and she won't have any protectant to help you when you don't stay as yourself, when you are calling on gods and calling and doing this. So when I first met Atenra, she was coming to me as Brahman, but I knew her as a feminine. And so I am saying, how come she seems so masculine? And then this was when she explained to me. So this is how, and I said, how come I never met Brahman? Because and then this is how she make me get to feel and experience her with the difference when she comes to me as the feminine, and then she comes to me again as Brahman, and I get to experience her as Atenra the feminine, and also as Brahman the masculine when she's wearing her mind avatar. And I saw how powerful she was when she was Brahman than when she was just Atenra, and I know the difference. So this is how I know. And so right now she has taken command back of the world, because remember all the gods then was ruling this duality, and she had to be fighting to even come into this world. And so but now she is taking command, because this she is sleeping in her self replica Ra, who is dreaming up the world partially, and her she makes a replica of her non-dual consciousness, which is the duality consciousness known as Brahma. So that's the consciousness that is dreaming up the world. And the consciousness, Brahma, is always sleeping and dreaming. It's never awake, never any light. This is the consciousness that Ra wears. So when Ra is awake, her mind is still sleeping. And this is the problem. And so Atenra is now in her feminine self, but she also have her masculine self with her. And so that's who Brahman is. So if you didn't know, now you know. So I am talking about Atenra because she wants everyone to know these things about her. So I am going to the did you know? Did you know that water is the liquid manifestation of Atenra? So the properties of water and the way water behaves, this is how the self behaves. If you observe water under a microscope, you will see the exact same thing happening. All of the electrons will move to one side. All of the protons it will separate the atoms, all of the particles of the atoms, because will do the same thing that the self is doing. So in all of these manifestations, the self is showing us and teaching us about ourselves. We're just not seeing it. So did you know that Atenra is the shattered, fragmented, pure atom called the self atom? Yes. So there's many different levels of atoms, and so we are the self atom, or the pure atom. Can you see the atom that creates things in the world? It's from these atoms, but it's just a different kind of atom. And so did you know that Atenra is the sun that is behind Ra? Her sun stays hidden, and so that everyone think there's only one sun. But believe me, there are many suns. All the stars and that you see in the sky, they are suns, and they are the sons of all of the ones who are the real. So all the real ones right now are like all of the souls. The stars are their sons, because they are the real. And I want you to know that lots of things are happening into the universe, into the cosmos, into the galaxies. Many stars. Science is saying this, so watch some science. of what have happened in what's happening now in this existence. They are just completely disappearing because they are merging, because this is what the self is doing, it's merging with itself. um, it's dissolving all of the dream characters. So all the ones them that we were seeing, many of them are disappearing because they wasn't real. They were just some of the dream characters that was arise from the duality selves inside of the dream. I know they have merged back onto their real self. So watch out for these things and know this is what's happening. And did you know that you do not belong into this dream world? No, you don't belong here. You are sleeping inside of a dream. And when you're inside the dream, you're sleeping and then you sleep some more. This is just a dream creation. It's like a director writing out the script for the movie, and then he gets actors to act out all the characters. This is what Aten Rash is doing. She wrote out the script for this movie, but because it is you know how they call those television shows, they call them do they call them live shows? I don't watch a lot of those things, so I don't know. I don't remember the name they call them. Anyway, when they don't script the writing, and the characters are just playing and just coming up with their own lines. Reality TV they call it. This is how this dream existence is. It's a kind of like that. So each and everyone is scripting their own thing. They're going with, but the destiny of the script is written out by Aten Ra, but each self, they are writing out their own destiny. This is why the world is not balanced, because it is like those reality TV show. Someone is gonna do something because the ego is wayward and everyone is in the ego false self. No one knows what the next person is gonna do or say because of the ego false self that everyone is in. So all of the characters, Aten Ra has made babies of herself, self-replicas of herself, to be the characters inside of her own movie, this dream. So we're just playing a role, a character in this movie. We don't belong into this dream. But guess what? You come into the movie, everyone like the reality show that's happening. The ego does. The ego false self, that the character that you are playing. You're playing this character now. You don't want to get out of this role that you are playing. You want to stay into this role. This is the problem. The ego wants to keep this dream going, because when the self arises, the ego cannot exist. So if you are tranced in the dream by the ego cannot be dissolved. If you rise up and wake up into this dream, you're no longer the ego false self. So this is the problem. You have to get rid of this ego false self so that you can wake up from the dream. You don't belong into a dream existence, into this craziness. We don't belong here. I don't belong here. I never felt like I belong here. And so this is what Aten Ra is doing right now. This is her dream creation, by she making all replicas of herself to play all the character. This is Aten Ra in every character here, between her and her masculine self. All the feminine is her, all the masculine is her from men, that herself. So everyone have to rise back and return back, all the feminine back into Aten Ra, all the masculine back into Amen. Yes, did you know that Aten Ra is our mother self? Yes. Aten Ra, she is our mother self. And so this is time that we know these things. She wants for you to know this. This is why she has instructed me to do this. No, many ones don't know about her, and she wanted everyone to know that Brahman no longer exists, right? Brahman no longer exists. So here we have Brahma. Brahma is the mind avatar to the consciousness. This is when they are wearing the mind avatar. So just like you in the world, you're also wearing a mind avatar. You are not in your real self. You also are wearing the mind avatar. You're in a mind avatar. You're classifying yourself up as all these things. I am this, I am that. You know, you are the spirit, this mind avatar. You're sleeping in trance in the dream. Everyone is wearing the mind avatar. I myself was also wearing the mind avatar. But I inquired in myself. I called into this soul. I said, I question it. I said, what is a soul? I did not know what a soul was. Growing up as a human being in this world, you don't know a lot of things. You come and you hear people talking about things and you don't know. You don't ask no question. You just follow what they say. I said, I don't understand who I am. I don't know who I am. How did I come into this existence? How did this existence happen? What they were programming into me did not make sense to me. I said, no, that does not make sense. I want to get to the root of who I am. This is the reason why I started asking questions, because I did not know. Because everyone, we are worshiping the mind. Everyone was worshiping who? They was worshiping Brahman. They was worshiping all the gods who are mind being. All of the gods, trust me, every single one of the gods, they are supreme ego, mind beings, worshiping the mind avatars. All of them are. All of the goddesses, they are also mind avatars. Brahma, these two were the most ones that because she is the world. Ra, when she wears the mind avatar, she becomes Brahma. She becomes consciousness, Christ consciousness. She's the duality consciousness. She's the mind of the dream. While Brahman was the non-dual consciousness and the mind of the real, which is Aten Ra. She's wearing the mind avatar. No, she's no longer wearing this mind avatar. Of course, Ra is still like now in the night. Ra is in the mind avatar. So it all depends on what part of the world she is. People worship the mind avatar. Is not her. She's in the ego false self. She no longer in awareness. No, the mind created a dream character that she's existing as, tricking everyone. She is no longer in awareness. This is the masculine. Now she exists as the first god, Brahma, chaos, the magnetic being, consciousness, calling itself Christ consciousness, higher levels of consciousness. This is all this consciousness. Consciousness is the mind. Everyone is worshiping the mind. What is consciousness? Christ consciousness. The same thing right here. This duality consciousness. Do I need to be seeking higher levels of consciousness? Absolutely not. The only thing that you need to seek, you need to find your soul. You need to unify with your soul as one self. You are the baby self of the soul. Remember, I say every self is self-replicating, making copies of itself, making babies of itself. You, all of this, the spirit self that arise from this directly from a soul. No, those spirit self, they are sleeping. You must inquire as the ego false self right now. You must inquire of who am I? What is the real? What is my real self? You only need your soul. This is the power that you need. All of these deities and gods, they have been programming your mind for eons and telling you that you are not good enough, that you are not powerful enough. Everyone is seeking power. Someone, they contacted me because you see, everyone is being witch and wizard. So I had to let them know that your only power that you have is your soul. You need to call your soul back into your body. They're thinking that because they're trying to battle with me because they think that they can come and steal my soul. So they say, oh, she's powerful. Or some say, oh, she's a powerful guru, spirit guru, because they cannot conquer me. So now they're reaching out to me. They're saying, how do I harness my power? So I said, it's very simple. You must still this crazy mind that is delusional, and you must ask, because you don't know who you are. You must ask. You must call your soul back into the body with you. This is your power, because they have programmed you and tell you that you must give them your soul. You are bartering your soul. You're putting your soul in slavery. And you don't know that it is the power. Why are they all seeking it if it wasn't that powerful? It is the only balance, the only real in here, apart from any of the non-dual selves. All of the gods, them, they are not the real. They are in the ego false self. They are wearing the mind avatar. They do not know the real, and they do not know the truth. They put fear in you. They come, they torture you, they make you afraid. So you're afraid to harness yourself into your soul. Stand up to them. This is how you prove your power. Because within your soul is the supreme teacher, the guru, to come to rise up, to give you the power that you need. So when I tell you that you have everything that you need, you just need to call on yourself, the soul. This is what I did. I never believed anything that was being told to me. I said, that does not make sense to me. Why does God want? Why is God jealous? I said, I'm in this self right here. God sound like a jealous boyfriend. God sound like a toddler throwing tantrum because, I was working as an educator in the school. And when I work with every level of children, and when I choose to go work with toddlers, I said, oh my goodness, now I see why I was calling the gods them toddlers. They're throwing hissy fit and tantrum. If you don't give them what they want, they throw a hissy fit and tantrum. They're putting you in slavery. They're putting you in hell and all of these things. Why? Because they're in ignorance and they want you to fear them. So it's time for you to stop fearing God and stand up to them. What they are doing is wrong. When someone is doing something wrong, we must stand up to them. And y'all don't want to stand up to those gods and deities that you're worshiping, because what y'all are looking for power. Everybody wants power because busy doing evil to each other. I'm telling you, it was so shocking for me to find out through my travels. Everywhere I go, the same thing I was meeting on. Everyone is seeking power. They want to come in the night, because in the night, now the consciousness have full power to reprogram you, and they calling on devils and satans, because now they come in and they want power to control others, to do evil and to do this. Everybody is a witch and everybody is a wizard. No, stop it already. Release yourself from slavery and bondage, and no more. You don't need to fear. You just need to call on your soul and prepare yourself to leave this dream existence. You don't belong here anywhere inside of this dream. I'm talking to all the real self, because all of the ego false self, The clones of the real, they will not understand anything I am saying. I'm talking to the real self because only the real self can help their clones. All of them clones are gonna be, they just gonna disappear back into the real. So I am saying everyone has been into this mind avatar, this ego false self. Why is everyone in the world so evil? The minds of everyone is so crazy. Look right now, because ones don't know that all is one self. We are all Aten Ra into this body, playing all this role. She is playing all of these roles. This, we are all of herselves. You're fighting over land. You have how many acres, and people on the street, they don't have no place to live. They have no food. And you sit there and you say, oh, that's not my problem. Oh, and then this is the other thing the gods them do now. They tell you that, oh, it's because of sin, or it is because of karma. Who's creating sin? The gods them doing this because they want to punish you, because they want to reign over you. No, I have no sin. I have no karma. Take your destiny in your own hand. You have no sin. You were never born a sinner. You have no karma. You don't need no one to save your soul. You need to wake up from sleeping. That's what you need to do. You are the one that can save your soul. Call it back into your body. No one else can do this but you. Call it back into your body so that you will no longer be this mind avatar, this ego false self, sleeping and dreaming and don't know the truth. Everything that I am saying, you ask yourself, what have we been doing? Worshiping the minds, worshiping gods, worshiping deities, devils and satans. This is our level of the mind when it is crazy. Everyone, the gods, the devils, the satans, the angels, archangels, this is only telling you the level of craziness in the mind of the being, because based on how they call themselves. The devils and the satans, they are the worst. They are all the same, yourself, in this duality form. But guess what? The devils and the Satan have the worst mind. Their mind is crazy. Their mind is so corrupted, and their mind is so sick. Just like how you see those ones, those devils and Satans, demons into the world doing these crazy things. This is the same thing with the gods. They have a crazy mind. Their mind is sick. And only stillness and calling into your soul, taking off this ego false self, can restore balance. Restore balance to your own self. Save yourself. Stop talking about you waiting for someone to come and save you. Do the work. It's very simple. All you have to do is to do the work, and look how simple it is. Everyone, they're asking me, and I'm telling them it's really simple. They're saying, oh, this is when you just start on your spiritual journey. These are just simple things. I said, but you never stick with it, because now they're reading all these books and they're telling me, oh, this book and this book and that book. Did you read the book of yourself? Read the book of yourself. This is the only way that you are going to know. If you read the book of yourself, get out of this ego false self and self-inquire and ask. This is what Aten Ra is saying. She is no longer in the world as Brahman. She's never going to come back into this world as Brahman. She is bringing a balance to this world, because she's going to dissolve this world. Everything is going to be dissolved. We're all going to be merged back into, if we are the feminine, into Aten Ra, if we are the masculine, into Amen. And each level of the self is going to merge back into each other until we return back to nothingness. Return back to stillness, to the unmanifest, to non-being. So prepare yourself. I do not know how long this is going to be, but it is going to happen. All right, Ra, this is the self-replica of Aten Ra. She wants me to tell you this. She said, I am sleeping and my mind is dreaming, especially now in the night here. In the night, Ra goes to sleep. The ego false self arises. She is sleeping. She's entranced in the things that she has created. And her mind is showing her all these things. But while the mind is taking over and is doing a lot of crazy thing in the world, the mind now arise, the ego false self, the masculine that takes over the world, takes over your mind. And know that in the night, this is when the mind reprograms your mind back into itself. It gives you chant. It puts spells on you, because believe me, it has been doing this to me since I come into the real. It does it to me all the time. Like, this is the reason why I fight to stay awake, but sometimes it's hard because in the night, Set, Allah, and Jesus, those three main ones, um, they fight to knock out the consciousness so that they can put me into a sleep. Not and so I am busy trying to stay up so that I do not fall into any sleep. So because the consciousness, do a lot of crazy things when you like in this state. This is what they do, and they're obsessed with sex and homosexuality. So they sodomize you, they do sexual things. They are crazy. Um, they show you movies and videos. These guys are sick. They're crazy. Their mind is crazy. So I'm saying, Ra is saying she wants you to know this. When she's in the feminine, she tells me these things. She says, I have no control over my mind. The mind is wayward. It's rebellious. This is the first rebellion. This mind, this consciousness. Her mind became the first God, the supreme ego. So every God is the mind. Ask them, and they will tell you that they are the mind. And I am telling you that the mind is the problem in the world. It is the supreme ego. It is sleeping and dreaming, has no awareness, and it is crazy. So that was part 1 of who is Aten Ra. So I am going to stop the video and I am going to do part 2, but so you can join me again in part 2, because I don't want to make this video too long, because I'm already gone 1 hour. But I am just gonna stop this one and get into part 2. I am just ending it. So join me again for part 2. Thank you for joining me, and just stick around for part 2 on a separate video.